Now at that time the whole of Kusinara was covered knee-deep with the flowers of the flame tree, without gaps even on the filth and rubbish heaps. Then the deities and the malas of Kusinara carried the Buddha's corpse to the north of the town, while venerating it with celestial and human dance and song and music and garlands and fragrances. Then they entered the town by the northern gate, carried it through the centre of the town, left by the eastern gate, and deposited the corpse there at the Malian shrine named Makuta Bandhana. Then the malas said to Anuruddha, "Sir, how do we proceed when it comes to the realized one's corpse?" "Proceed in the same way as they do for the corpse of a wheel-turning monarch." "But how do they proceed with a wheel-turning monarch's corpse?" "They wrap a wheel-turning monarch's corpse with unworn cloth, then with uncarded cotton, then again with unworn cloth. In this way they wrap the corpse with 500 double layers. Then they place it in an iron case filled with oil and close it up with another case. Then, having built a funeral pyre out of all kinds of fragrant substances, they cremate the corpse. They build a monument for the wheel-turning monarch at the crossroads. That's how they proceed with the wheel-turning monarch's corpse. Proceed in the same way with the realized one's corpse. A monument for the realized one is to be built at the crossroads. When someone there lifts up garlands or fragrance or powder, or bows, or inspires confidence in their heart, that will be for their lasting welfare and happiness." Then the malas ordered their men, "So then, my men, collect uncarded cotton." So the malas wrapped the Buddha's corpse and placed it in an iron case filled with oil. Then, having built a funeral pyre out of all kinds of fragrant substances, they lifted the corpse onto the pyre. Section 38. Mahakassapa's arrival. Now, at that time, Venerable Mahakassapa was travelling along the road from Pava to Kusinara, together with a large sangha of around 500 mendicants. Then he left the road and sat down at the root of a tree. Now, at that time, a certain Ajivika ascetic had picked up a flame tree flower in Kusinara and was travelling along the road to Pava. Mahakassapa saw him coming in the distance and said to him, "Reverend, might you know about our teacher?" "Yes, Reverend. 7 days ago the ascetic Gotama became fully extinguished. From there I picked up this flame tree flower." Some of the mendicants there, with arms raised, falling down like their feet were chopped off, rolling back and forth, lamented, "Too soon the Blessed One has become fully extinguished. Too soon the Holy One has become fully extinguished. Too soon the seer has vanished from the world." But the mendicants who were free of desire endured, mindful and aware, thinking, "Conditions are impermanent. How could it possibly be otherwise?" Now at that time a monk named Subhada, who had gone forth when old, was sitting in that assembly. He said to those mendicants, "Enough, reverends, do not grieve or lament. We're well rid of that great ascetic harassing us. This is allowable for you, this is not allowable for you. Well now, we shall do what we want and not do what we don't want." Then Venerable Mahakassapa addressed the mendicants, "Enough, reverends, do not grieve or lament. Did the Buddha not prepare us for this when he explained that we must be parted and separated from all we hold dear and beloved? How could it possibly be so that what is born, created, conditioned, and liable to fall apart should not fall apart, even the realized one's body?" Now at that time 4 of the leading malas, having bathed their heads and dressed in unworn clothes, said, "We shall light the Buddha's funeral pyre." But they were unable to do so. The malas said to Anuruddha, "What is the cause, Venerable Anuruddha? What is the reason why these 4 Malian leaders are unable to light the Buddha's funeral pyre?" "Vasatas, the deities have a different plan." "But, sir, what is the deities' plan?" "The deities' plan is this. Venerable Mahakassapa is travelling along the road from Parva to Kusinara, together with a large sangha of around 500 mendicants. The Buddha's funeral pyre shall not burn until he bows with his head at the Buddha's feet. Sir, let it be as the deities plan. Then Venerable Mahakassapa came to the Malian shrine named Makuta Bandhana at Kusinara and approached the Buddha's funeral pyre. Arranging his robe over one shoulder and raising his joined palms, he respectfully circled the Buddha 3 times, keeping him on his right, and bowed with his head to the Buddha's feet. And the 500 mendicants did likewise. And when Mahakassapa and the 500 mendicants bowed, the Buddha's funeral pyre burst into flames all by itself. And when the Buddha's corpse was cremated, no ash or soot was found from outer or inner skin, flesh, sinews, or synovial fluid. Only the relics remained. It's like when ghee or oil blaze and burn, and neither ashes nor soot are found. In the same way, when the Buddha's corpse was cremated, no ash or soot was found from outer or inner skin, flesh, sinews, or synovial fluid. Only the relics remained. And of those 500 pairs of garments, only 2 were not burnt, the innermost and the outermost. But when the Buddha's corpse was consumed, the funeral pyre was extinguished by a stream of water that appeared in the sky, by water dripping from the sal trees, and by the malas fragrant water. Then the malas made a cage of spears for the Buddha's relics in the meeting hall, and surrounded it with a buttress of boughs. For 7 days they honoured, respected, revered, and venerated them with dance and song and music and garlands and fragrances. Section 39. Distributing the relics. King Ajatasattu of Magadha heard that the Buddha had become fully extinguished at Kusinara. He sent an envoy to the malas of Kusinara. The Buddha was an aristocrat, and so am I. I too deserve a share of the Buddha's relics. I will build a large monument for them. The Lichavis of Vesali also heard that the Buddha had become fully extinguished at Kusinara. They sent an envoy to the malas of Kusinara. The Buddha was an aristocrat, and so are we. We too deserve a share of the Buddha's relics. We will build a large monument for them. The Sakyans of Kapilavatthu also heard that the Buddha had become fully extinguished at Kusinara. They sent an envoy to the malas of Kusinara. The Buddha was our foremost relative. We too deserve a share of the Buddha's relics. We will build a large monument for them. The Bullas of Alakappa also heard that the Buddha had become fully extinguished at Kusinara. They sent an envoy to the malas of Kusinara. The Buddha was an aristocrat, and so are we. We too deserve a share of the Buddha's relics. We will build a large monument for them. The Koleans of Ramagama also heard that the Buddha had become fully extinguished at Kusinara. They sent an envoy to the malas of Kusinara. The Buddha was an aristocrat, and so are we. We too deserve a share of the Buddha's relics. We will build a large monument for them. The Brahmin of Vetadipa also heard that the Buddha had become fully extinguished at Kusinara. He sent an envoy to the malas of Kusinara. The Buddha was an aristocrat, and I am a Brahmin. I too deserve a share of the Buddha's relics. I will build a large monument for them. The malas of Parva also heard that the Buddha had become fully extinguished at Kusinara. They sent an envoy to the malas of Kusinara. The Buddha was an aristocrat, and so are we. We too deserve a share of the Buddha's relics. We will build a large monument for them. When they had spoken, the malas of Kusinara said to those various groups, "The Buddha became fully extinguished in our village district. We will not give away a share of his relics." Then Dona the Brahmin said to those various groups, "Here, sirs, a single word from me. Our Buddha's teaching was acceptance. it would not be good to fight over a share of the Supreme Person's relics. Let us make 8 portions, good sirs, rejoicing in unity and harmony. Let there be monuments far and wide, so many folk may gain faith in the seer. Well then, Brahmin, you yourself should fairly divide the Buddha's relics in 8 portions. Yes, sirs, replied Dona to the various groups. He divided the relics as asked and said to them, Sirs, please give me the urn, and I shall build a large monument for it. So they gave Dona the urn. The Mauryas of Pipalivana heard that the Buddha had become fully extinguished at Kusinara. They sent an envoy to the Mallas of Kusinara. The Buddha was an aristocrat, and so are we. We too deserve a share of the Buddha's relics. We will build a large monument for them. There is no portion of the Buddha's relics left. They have already been portioned out. Here, take the embers. So they took the embers. Section 40. Venerating the relics. Then King Ajatasattu of Magadha, the Lichavis of Vesali, the Sakyans of Kapilavatu, the Bullas of Alakappa, the Kolians of Ramagama, the Brahmin of Vetadipa, the Mallas of Pava, the Mallas of Kusinara, the Brahmin Dona, and the Mauryas of Pipalivana built large monuments for their portions, and held festivals in their honour. Thus there were 8 monuments for the relics, a 9th for the urn, and a 10th for the embers. That is how it was in those days. There were 8 shares of the seer's relics, 7 were worshipped throughout India, but 1 share of the most excellent of men was worshipped in Ramagama by a dragon king. 1 tooth is venerated by the gods of 33, and 1 is worshipped in the city of Gandhara, another 1 in the realm of the Kalinga king, and 1 is worshipped by a dragon king. Through their glory this rich earth is adorned with the best of offerings. Thus the seer's corpse is well honoured by the honourable. It's venerated by lords of gods, dragons and spirits, and likewise venerated by the finest lords of men. Honour it with joined palms when you get the chance, for a Buddha is rare even in 100 eons. Altogether, 40 even teeth, and the body hair and head hair were carried off individually by gods across the universe. Discourse 17. King Mahasudassana, Mahasudassana Sutta. Short introduction. An elaborate story of a past life of the Buddha as a legendary king who renounced all to practice meditation. In a small scene of the Mahaparinibbana, Ananda encourages the Buddha to pass away in a well-known city, not in the obscure village of Kusinara. The Buddha rebukes him, saying that in the past it had been a great city. The Sanskrit Sarvastivada versions of the Mahaparinibbana include a shorter account of the story of King Mahasudassana in their Mahaparinibbana itself. But in the Pali it has become greatly extended and formed into its own long discourse. The discourse itself is fabulous, full of extended passages on the crystal balustrades and other wonders of Mahasudassana's palace. But at its heart, it is a very human story, the love of the queen for her king and the pain of letting go. The struggle that the queen undergoes to fully understand that her king must pass mirrors the struggles of Ananda in the Mahaparinibbana as he comes to terms with the passing of his beloved teacher. So I have heard. At one time the Buddha was staying between a pair of sal trees in the sal forest of the Mallas at Upavatana near Kusinara at the time of his final extinguishment. Then Venerable Ananda went up to the Buddha, bowed, sat down to one side, and said to him, "Sir, please don't become fully extinguished in this little hamlet, this jungle hamlet, this branch hamlet. There are other great cities such as Champa, Rajagaha, Savatthi, Saketa, Kosambi, and Benares. Let the Buddha become fully extinguished there. There are many well-to-do aristocrats, Brahmins and householders there, who are devoted to the Buddha. They will perform the rites of venerating the realized one's corpse. Don't say that, Ananda. Don't say that this is a little hamlet, a jungle hamlet, a branch hamlet. Section 1. The capital city of Kusavati. Once upon a time, there was a king named Mahasudassana, whose dominion extended to all four sides and who achieved stability in the country. His capital was this Kusinara, which at that time was named Kusavati. It stretched for 12 leagues from east to west and 7 leagues from north to south. The royal capital of Kusavati was successful, prosperous, populous, full of people, with plenty of food. It was just like Ala Kamandar, the royal capital of the gods, which is successful, prosperous, populous, full of spirits, with plenty of food. Kusavati was never free of 10 sounds by day or night, namely, the sound of elephants, horses, chariots, drums, clay drums, arched harps, singing, horns, gongs, and handbells, and the cry, "Eat, drink, be merry," as the 10th. Kusavati was encircled by 7 ramparts, one made of gold, one made of silver, one made of beryl, one made of crystal, one made of ruby, one made of emerald, and one made of all precious things. It had 4 gates made of gold, silver, beryl, and crystal. At each gate there were 7 pillars, 3 fathoms deep and 4 fathoms high, made of gold, silver, beryl, crystal, ruby, emerald, and all precious things. It was surrounded by 7 rows of palm trees made of gold, silver, beryl, crystal, ruby, emerald, and all precious things. The golden palms had trunks of gold and leaves and fruits of silver. The silver palms had trunks of silver and leaves and fruits of gold. The beryl palms had trunks of beryl and leaves and fruits of crystal. The crystal palms had trunks of crystal and leaves and fruits of beryl. The ruby palms had trunks of ruby and leaves and fruits of emerald. The emerald palms had trunks of emerald and leaves and fruits of ruby. The palms of all precious things had trunks of all precious things and leaves and fruits of all precious things. When those rows of palm trees were blown by the wind, they sounded graceful, tantalizing, sensuous, lovely, and intoxicating, like a quintet made up of skilled musicians who had practiced well and kept excellent rhythm. And any addicts, libertines, or drunkards in Kusavati at that time were entertained by that sound. Section 2. The 7 treasures. 1. The wheel treasure. King Mahasudassana possessed 7 treasures and 4 blessings. What 7? On a 15th day fast day, King Mahasudassana had bathed his head and gone upstairs in the stilt longhouse to observe the fast day. And the heavenly wheel treasure appeared to him with 1,000 spokes, with rim and hub, complete in every detail. Seeing this, the king thought, "I have heard that when the heavenly wheel treasure appears to a king in this way, he becomes a wheel-turning monarch. Am I then a wheel-turning monarch?" Then King Mahasudassana, rising from his seat and arranging his robe over one shoulder, took a ceremonial vase in his left hand and besprinkled the wheel treasure with his right hand, saying, "Roll forth, O wheel treasure! Triumph, O wheel treasure!" Then the wheel treasure rolled towards the east, and the king followed it together with his army of 4 divisions. In whatever place the wheel treasure stood still, there the king came to stay together with his army. And any opposing rulers of the eastern quarter came to him and said, "Come, great king, welcome, great king. We are yours, great king, instruct us." The king said, "Do not kill living creatures. Do not steal. Do not commit sexual misconduct. Do not lie. Do not drink alcohol. maintained the current level of taxation, and so the opposing rulers of the Eastern Quarter became his vassals.